Oh my gosh. Wow, I'm so out of it. Turn on some more lights. That's a good idea. Good morning. Hey Amber, good morning. Yeah. Sorry, I have been fooling around with a online game this morning, and so there was all kinds of things happening, and so I was jumping around, and I'm just like trying to get things situated. But yep, good morning. Welcome to Mid Morning Medium Chat with Adam the Black Swamp Medium. Thanks for being here. How is everybody doing? Um, let's see here. Get a few things out of the way. Hey, Jill. Yeah, happy hot Saturday. Well, I mean, like they say at least locally they keep saying, hey, last a little bit because I mean tomorrow's a slight cool down. I don't know if you could really use that in the terms right now, but tomorrow, 90s today and then like an 88 tomorrow. So I guess that's a cool down, right? Hey Terry, good morning. So yeah, I mean, depending on where everybody is, I mean, uh, you know, I guess if it's not 90, that's a cool down, right? Like, especially for June. But yeah, so no, hopefully you guys are doing great. Hopefully everything is fine. How was everybody's week? I think that's the number one thing. So everybody do okay heat wise, because I know it was definitely warm. Uh, you know, it was warm. I did pretty good. I mean, other than my office at work is terrible. They've I don't know how you can call it an office, but yet not truly have any vents. So I still haven't understood that. And when I was offered it, I'm like, yeah, it looks great, but I didn't realize, it didn't have any vents. So I've acquired some, USB desk fans, and then I even ended up bringing in like the pretty cool. Um, it's like a floor fan, and but what's neat about it is you can angle it in a lot of different ways. So it's not just turning it, but like you can leave it in one spot and then just angle the um, which direction you want it to go, and it's pretty cool because I mean even then like you could turn it into like when people have floods like I have, but I didn't have it at the time. You can put the blade all the way over and it can just shoot literally along the floor. So it's kind of a cool fan. Um, Reminds you of like if you ever seen the companies that deal with flooding and stuff, and they have the fans, and they're the big round ones, even though this one isn't, but they sit on the floor and just that's their main job is to dry the floor up. But this one's like kind of a small like consumer version of it. So but it does pretty good. Unfortunately, it's it's just pushing heat around. So if I open the door, I can kind of make the heat go out into the hallway. But that's kind of crazy. So I use it once in a while to do that, but then after that, I just I kind of suffer through it, which kind of stinks because I hate heat. So it sounds Star Trekish. They can make that into a movie, ventless endearment. Well, I mean, but unfortunately, it's just my office. It's not in, I don't get it, but it's stupid. But it's just one of those things. Luckily, it's not horrible. Like when I first get in, it's warm, but it's not horrible. But I usually leave the door open, kind of push some of the heat out. I did notice that if I keep the lights off, that helps even more. So now I've got like all the lights, completely off. So I'm just using like the computer screen, and so I have a couple monitors and things. But yeah, yeah, it's just weird. I mean, like then like during the winter, because I moved in there in like last August, and the heat wasn't even an issue back then. Um, and during the winter, it really got cold. So it's like, well, there's definitely no heat, in here. So I ended up buying a little space heater, and that did the trick. It would just warm it right up pretty quickly, and so I didn't, have to freeze too badly. Because yeah, when you're sitting there wearing a coat, that's pretty rough. So, oh, Amber, we've done that once before. We have done that. I swear to God, we did this once before. Yeah, it's I believe we did this on a show once where we brought this up. So we could go, we could do this, so we can here, let me put this back down. So, you know, let's, hey, Debbie, good morning. We can do this real quickly. It'll be a good one. Dad, no, I wouldn't sleep there if my life depended on it. I mean, even though so I have a mini hallway between offices, so there's a mini hallway that I work through. Um, there is a couch around, like, literally one, at the very end of my office I'm like the last of three offices on the one side against the windows. When you go out my door and go down to the end of my, me being the last office, there's a big couch over there and everything. So I could, crash there, and at least it's cool. But unfortunately, no, I wouldn't do that. I mean, I remember the one building I was stationed at in in 2021. So when things weren't still quite opened yet, I remember I was in this one set of buildings. So it was all one floor, but it was huge, huge places. And I controlled two buildings. And what was neat, well, it's not, it's weird, Dad, is it's like a corner office, but it's not a corner office because when you go down the little hallway, so you have one office, which that could be considered a corner, and you got a middle one, and then me. But see, like, I'm on the end, and then on the other side of my wall is the open area where there's the couch, and then there's some tables and chairs and things. So I don't know if you can quite call it a corner office, but um, but anyway, yeah. So when I was at this other building in the fall of 20, so it was like September. I think it was like, yeah, September of 2021 through January of 2022. Uh, I was pretty much, most of the time it was me by myself in this building. So, like, it was quiet, and I was like really the only one there. Occasionally the building manager would show up for like a day or two, but and then tradespeople coming in, checking on everything, heating, air, all that kind of fun stuff. And then and so there was a major storm coming, and unfortunately, I tried to get the manager at the time to let me stay home, and that wasn't working. And so what I ended up doing was, and it was even worse, was it was a Friday that this major snowstorm was coming. So it was a Friday. And I remember going, oh man. So I ended up bringing, some blankets and things, a lot of extra snacks and stuff. Cause I mean, I had water, so that wasn't like a big deal. And there wasn't any snacks, and vending machines, were all, you eliminate it and gut it and stuff like that. So because nobody was there. So, they're not going to let it expire. So, there was really cool couches and things. And so I was like prepared to go like crash on these couches, until Saturday, which would have been weird. But that was funny, was prepping for that, knowing that, I could have to stay here overnight in the building by myself, which I became good friends with the building manager. And I was just like, hey, they still making me come in. But if I have to stick around, are you okay with it? I said, I'll probably be able to leave then Saturday morning. But I said, you're not going to have any issues if, it's just me overnight, So she goes, oh no, I mean, be safe, don't travel. So, but it wasn't, I mean, the storm hit, but it wasn't where roads were, completely undrivable. So, I was able to make it home, which was nice. I wasn't really looking forward to spending the whole night, but it is what it is. So, anyway, yeah, no, so yeah, so just doing, just hanging in there. Yeah, I know it. I know my at least work week. I mean, I don't talk about it too much in post as much. I mean, I say, it's rough or something, but we had a few days here that the last couple of days where it got bad. So, it's just like, why do these things keep happening? And it was happening to this one particular room and conference room. And so, just dealing with it, it happens. But I got through it, and luckily, I've definitely gotten used to, we always call it like, it's a fire, because it's like, everybody's got to get, in and got to figure this out. And so I say it's a fire. And so it's just trying to put that fire out. And at least it's definitely, the more times this has happened, I've gotten more and more used to it. So now it doesn't it doesn't linger, it doesn't bother me. I mean, it stinks at the time when you're just like, you're frustrated, but at least this isn't causing more pains. And I was talking, I think, about that last weekend too. It's nice to not have to deal with the um stress and well, I mean, there's stress. Hey Chris, the anxiety of it and the panic attacks and stuff. So luckily, these things I've gotten more used to it, and you work your way through the situation, and um, so yeah. I know I tied in the topic, but obviously we had the first day of summer, the summer solstice. So we'll talk about that here in a couple minutes. So that was a big one this week. Uh, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, and maybe somebody knows offhand, do we just have a full moon or new moon? I cannot remember for the life of me. I saw somebody post about it, and I couldn't remember if they said full or new. Um, but I mean, I could look it up. I have a moon app, so I mean, I really could just stop and stare at my phone. But what fun is that going to be if I'm looking down all the time? I mean, I'm looking at the screen and everything, but um, yeah. So I mean, if somebody remembers if we had a full moon or we, so hey Harold, good morning. Full moon was last time. Thank you, Jill. Thank you. Strawberry moon. That's right. I remember seeing that too. Thank you, Debbie. That makes sense. Yeah, I saw somebody else say strawberry moon, and it just didn't even hit me. So I was just like, oh, I know a lot of these have those titles to it. So that's cool. Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. So yeah, it was a little bit of a cool in a way astrological week, with the summer solstice, and then the full moon being the strawberry moon, which is really cool. So that's awesome. Yeah. I don't even it's weird is tip see, the thing is it's been kind of cloudy and stuff, so I know I haven't noticed the moon, and I know some people the full moons essentially, but do bother some people, and I don't know if it bothered any of you. um I think I've been too distracted with work to notice, and I think that's been the case, for a couple months now. I've missed a lot of the classic signs of the when the stars are aligning, so to speak. But I haven't noticed them as intense as I used to. Like sometimes I would, and sometimes I don't. And it was it kind of is a drag a little bit, but I mean, I did want the more responsibility. So, being a manager that I am, it's just one of those things, you have to accept it because you did want it. So, hey, Jason, good morning, man. Jill saying it really was pink colored. Okay. Yeah. And I mean, I guess that's why and essentially is why it's, called the strawberry moon. It really does reflect, uh, that. So that's really cool. Dad, you said about that, and somebody just told me about this yesterday for the first time. I missed it, so I didn't even hear. I didn't know it happened until somebody else was telling me. So yeah, it's kind of a bummer that they damaged the Stonehenge. So that's really, you know, I just you know I don't bring these things up. So I mean, obviously, I'm not going to go down there because it's just not. Try to keep things a little bit more positive, as much as possible. Yeah, I know they were protesters and stuff, but it's sad. I mean, they've done things like this in some of the museums in Europe, and they're it just I there's so many better ways to do things, and damaging things thinks that's what's going to resolve or lean towards their way of looking at things, and unfortunately it never does. It just makes it more difficult, and so it's a shame. I mean, I think we could always do better in those areas, and talking about it and not getting upset, and not hurting anybody, not damaging anybody's property or businesses and things. I mean, I don't know why we can't. It's funny, we won't even try it, it seems. It's I it blows my mind that we can't even try that. We just got to go to like bad stuff. Like we just got to lean that way automatically, and then look what happens. Nothing. Because it just blows my mind sometimes. Debbie was saying, about the moon. It was big and beautiful over the ocean. Well, right, Debbie, if you definitely would have a great front seat for that. So yeah, that would envy you. Like I said, for me, it's just in some of us in Northwest Ohio and southeastern Michigan. I mean, it's just been cloudy or hazy at times, and so you know, it's funny part is with this high heat and humidity, it's been exactly, Debbie, being a civil adult. Like, go figure, right? You know, maybe maybe listen to some of us old people. We, we've been through these situations, and we used to talk about stuff. Go figure, right? But yeah. So I haven't seen the moon as much this week, but because of the temperatures and stuff, it in a way reminds you of like when I lived in Florida for a while. With the high heat and humidity, I mean, you're going to have these storms, and we have several times this week. We've both Ohio and Michigan, have experienced these quick little showers that have hit, come in real quickly, or a little bit of rain and stuff, and then it's over and done with, and so yeah, the whole cloud thing has been kind of a drag. So I fortunately, at least I know I didn't get to see it, and so typically when it's been clear, it's great in the mornings when I'm driving to work. 5 in the morning, 5:30 in the morning, and it's like, yes, it's bright out, and it's because of the moon. It's kind of a kind of a bummer, but that's okay. I mean, we know it's there. It's not like the moon didn't exist at that point. So, but um, but yeah, no, that's it's just yeah. I think that's a bummer, because I think a lot of these events, because I know like when we had the solar eclipse in April. I mean, that was always the panic and worry that you would miss it, and even for me, I mean, we were able to see it. um Granted, I would have loved if it would have been a completely clear sky, and it was trying to get there, but luckily the clouds were thin enough to where you still could take it in. And like, even for me, I posted a whole full series from start to finish. I mean, not every, because I was taking photos like every few minutes, just to really get the whole progression of it, kind of like a time lapse. I just did it manually. But plus I had to keep moving and tracking it, because obviously it doesn't stay still long enough. But yeah, it was one of those things that you hate to miss some of these, because again, sometimes you just like right now, not being able to see the full strawberry moon. I'm gonna have to wait another year. Doesn't mean I'm not gonna see another full moon, but sometimes when they're wrapped around something important, like the summer solstice and things, it's kind of a drag. So, but you know, it's not the end of the world. So I'm not gonna boohoo and cry. Hopefully, nobody else did. Oh, thank you, Amber. Yeah, I can't. I say it so many times over and over again that I'm just grateful to be in that position to where I see it. And in fact, I have I don't even know how many I have right now. Let me see real quickly. Oops. I just wanted to see what I have right now. I have what? I probably have I probably got a good 5 or 6 more pictures that I could show everybody, because I have it from Thursday night and then yesterday evening. Not yesterday evening wasn't like some of the most intense ones I have, but some of the light work that was hitting the clouds were just great. And so I'll probably dump a few of those for you guys. But see, that's the thing that I keep stressing, is I know we all get busy, and so if there's something I can do to where I can capture them and then let you guys see them, so that way it um, gives you to not think about things that are bothering you and stressing you out. You can just look at these, and even for the second or two that you look at them, it's just like, oh, that's pretty cool, and it just distracts you long enough. And that's the point. If I can catch them and then share them, hopefully somebody else like me at the time, being able to appreciate it, and just even then hopefully get you all to look up for a moment, look up at the sky, because I know we do that. And that's I think the neatest thing about it is we're always looking down, like here, I mean, I'll pick up my phone, so I mean, I'm looking down, and then like all this stuff is happening up here. And I think that's the shame of it, that we get so used to looking down. And even this goes back to even before social media really exploded. So like back in the earliest part of 2000, social media was still, just starting to crank up, but we didn't, obviously cell phones and things didn't even have cameras yet, in the early part. But I remember a lot of the outdoor survival classes that I took, when we're in public, we basically are moving. But the funny part is nowadays, if you look out, you're just looking at everybody staring at your phone, which is the same thing that we did before all the social media. We would still look down for the most part because we're walking so fast that you're not using your full vision, but you're missing everything underneath. You're staring here, but you're missing everything else that's around you. And so the thing is I get it that we have to get to the next place that we're going to. Interesting enough is if you slow down your pace, your speed of walking, but then pick your head up and then use your full range of vision, that you'll see what's underneath you. Sure, you may not be able to tell exactly, okay, like there's a stick across a trail or something. There's a stick, you just don't know how big it is until you look. But keeping your head up as you're walking slower, hey Dessa, as you're walking slower, you get to slow down to get closer to the pace of nature, which is what you should be doing, what we all should be doing. Because I know I do unless I'm in doing something specifically, like at a park. If I'm really trying to hurry up and get to a spot, that's different. However, when I go to parks, I slow down. I mean, you walk half the speed that you normally would. And it's amazing because you'd be surprised at what other things you do pick up on. Animal life is a big one. I mean, you watch it, and even then, you guys go to a local park, along a trail that's pretty busy, not something that's really small, but go down where there's a bench, sit on the bench, and sit there for a little while, and try to do it like on a busy day, so like on a weekend. I mean, maybe not so much when it's heat out, hot like it is, but sit there, and what you do is watch the people watch, not creepy like, but watch people a little bit. But it's fun. It's fascinating to watch them either buried down into the ground, missing everything around, because as you sit there, everything else kind of pops. It could be vegetation that's very unique. Maybe there's some little flowers that if you were walking fast, you're not going to see them. Birds and things. I mean, yes, we see birds every day. However, interesting enough is you sitting there and you're relaxed and calm. See how close the birds do get to you, versus when people are just come barging through. It's a fun experiment for yourselves, because you can really see what people are like and realize that yes, the parks are a great place to exercise, get your walking in, absolutely. But at the same time, you can walk longer, yet you're slower and still get plenty of steps in. Yes, you're not burning as many calories. That's, again, maybe if you're going there to really do that, that's different. But maybe when you're done with burning all the calories, now go back through again and slow yourself down. Do a cool down lap. But that's kind of a thing that we should be doing. But as I said, my whole goal with all the photos that I try to post all the time is just to get everybody to pick their heads up a little bit, because again, I mean, I can't make that stuff up. I mean, when I'm taking those photos, now granted, if it's a cloudy day, there's really not a whole lot, unless there's some cool shading, which I have done. I posted, storm clouds and just real thick cloud days. But if I see some cool patterns in there that would be something we just would ignore, again, looking up to see it, and if there's detail, then I try to capture that so that way you can see, be like, look, that's kind of cool. I mean, yeah, it's cloudy and it's dark, but there's still some beauty to it. So Jason was saying one of the perks of getting to work in the morning is being able to look up even for a few seconds, enjoy the view. Absolutely, Jason. Amber saying, I grew up playing outside and not coming home until dark. So many, Amber, I remember those days too. you came home maybe to, get some food. Because a lot of times, like in my neighborhood, where my parents, my dad still, they're still in the same house, yeah, we could run home, get dinner, and get right back out, because all the kids, would be running around to everybody's yards and stuff. And yeah, I mean, same thing. But what was even better is where my parents live. They live on a corner of where two streets intersect. So like you have to, whatever street you're coming on, you have to go in the direction. So there was a street lamp right there. So what made it even cooler was we could stay out even later and B, like in my yard, because there's light, versus like a lot of the other houses. I mean, yeah, you could turn a porch light on, but you're not getting as much unless we're doing all the cool, nighttime games that we all used to, play. But, uh, but yeah, it was always cool because we would hang out, right there, because there's a little bit of a dead end. So the light would illuminate, about almost half of our front yard. And so it was cool because we could all have some fun and not, feel like we've got to run home. So a lot of the other parents were cool with that. Hey, Della, a lot of the other parents, that we were all friends with, were like, hey, we can look out, we can see them. There's the street light. It's illuminated. We'll let them hang out a little bit longer. Granted, that was, in the summer. Obviously, during the school week and stuff, that was a little bit different. It was pretty much get your butts home, But yeah, I remember that, that we would have a lot of, a lot of games, a lot of sports and stuff in our front yards and things. And so that was always kind of fun. But the street light was, was a perk to being there. Granted, it's bright. So you made sure, luckily my bedroom, in the house was on the backside. So I didn't have that. However, there was lights behind the house that would, so regardless of where you were in the house, you were going to have a light, so you always tried to make sure you close the blinds or curtains and stuff, because it definitely didn't, that was one hindrance, but it wasn't the end of the world. So, yeah, the dad saying one of the perks of being retired is sleeping at, well, even like on weekends, or for me on weekends, or, on vacation, sleeping in. Yeah, right. I wish I could. I know, Dad. That's what I'm saying. We did get to play under the lights, so to speak. But yeah, no. So that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I forgot. Debbie wrote. I looked down a lot more since I can't get off the ground. Well, Debbie, see, that's the thing is, even if you, and it's everybody. I mean, whether it's an ongoing situation, or you get hurt and you twisted an ankle or whatever, you should be walking slow regardless. I mean, that's a given. So slowing down, you can then still pick your head back up, and even then, so there's examples, and I'll do that real quickly, and then we'll talk about summer solstice here. But if you want to try to break yourself of literally staring down as you're walking, still slow yourself down to half of what you normally would. However, when you, instead of looking straight down in front where you can see your feet, yeah, it's all, if I fall, yell timber, right? Instead of looking straight down at your feet, take your gaze and go out about 3 feet. So don't look, hey, Margaret, good morning. So don't look straight down at your toes, look out about 3 feet. Now you'll still see your toes, you'll still see your feet. So you're not missing, but start to bring your gaze up. And do that for a while. Do it for a couple weeks. And then eventually you'll get yourself to where you've got your head, you're looking straight ahead, and, looking to your left and right at things and stuff. But I use walking sticks to slow. Hey, whatever it takes, like I said, it's not a race. I mean, unless you're exercising, but yeah, like I said, we need to all push ourselves to try to get our heads up more. Because yeah, we're just missing so many, things. And like I said, I've done the sky because, again, it's just that cool metaphor of looking up, you know what I mean? And it just works because I see it and I'm already looking up. So, if I do have other shots, like the one I did a couple posts ago where, while I was taking sky pictures, this butterfly was flying all around me. And it was really cool. It was a great little message and stuff. And so I, they landed, and so I took a few photos of them, and so it was, if I can add other things that are cool, I will. But I just thought it was great that at that moment, even I'm taking a picture and this thing's flying all around my head, like, I know you're there, I'm not ignoring you. So but that's how that happens. So me just being aware of what's going on, so even though I was doing that, I still noticed something happening. You really want to, now, are we talking, so Debbie and then Amber, so are we talking like true walking stick, like like finding a stick in the woods? Or are we talking about like getting like a trekking pole kind of thing? I mean, and I'm not saying like a cane or anything like that, but are we talking like staff like Gandalf? I mean, what would be your definitions of a walking stick? So don't get me wrong, one of the classes I took, we had to carry essentially a walking stick all the time. That was a part of our requirement for the class. So we had to have about a 3 foot stick that we had to carry with us all the time. So everywhere we went, we had to have the stick with us. So it was all part of the class. So but it was good because I mean, some of the places, see, mine looks like it belongs somewhere. Well, there you go. So hey, I'm in. I'm in. I've always loved wizard stuff. So Della, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I just woke up and this is about falling down. Well, not really, Della. It's just how we're it. We're talking about, Amber made a post, saying how great, beautiful my pictures were, and that's what I was saying about looking up, and that's what I'm saying. We're so used to looking down that we miss things, and so when I post all the sky pictures that I do, it's because I'm looking up, and so I find them and I capture them and I share them, and that's the whole point, is to get everybody to start picking their heads up, because we miss so many cool moments, and even with the sky being there, granted we're outside, I mean, that's the good thing. We want to be outside, but yeah, I mean, so that's what we're and so the point is if you're walking, you don't be staring down, because then you're missing everything. But if you slow your pace down and pick your head up a little bit more, you still will see what's in front of you. But at the same time, then that's when people are like, well, I'll fall down and stuff. But yeah, no, it's cool. Oh, thanks, Della. Debbie saying, going to put a crystal on top. No, that's cool. Well, that's needed, because then, a lot of times, like if you are using it like at a park or beach or something, and you have that sun or moon, if you're out at night, that'll charge that crystal up. So that's really, really, really cool. That's the thing. I love looking up and post some pictures. That's, I think I know I've caught you. Well, I shouldn't say I caught you. I've seen, I think you have posted about it. So yeah, I'm pretty sure I've caught some of the ones that you've done. So Debbie or Della saying, yesterday I was looking up at the moon, so much rain here. I understand. Yeah, Della, well, that's the thing is, I talked in the beginning, I was like, I missed the moon, the full moon that happened, because I was like, didn't it happen? And then it was the strawberry moon. We've been so hazy that it's just not been enough. Like, you'll see a little bit of clear skies, but then there's just so many more clouds with all the high heat and stuff. So yeah, even I haven't had a chance to see it, but it's okay. My dad says, if you have a staff, do you have to see? Of course you do. Well, yes, because then you can beat the other staff members, Dad. We're kidding. Amber saying, we should all take a sky picture today and flood Adams. I mean, I would, if you have an opportunity to capture something, then do it. Obviously, don't be like trying and I mean, let it be natural, because that's what's really cool is, I mean, if you're in a position like, when I watch the clock and we do I do the numbers with a couple friends, I do the number thing. It has to be natural. It has to be something that you're not staring there. Like, I'm looking at my clock, so that's why I'm looking off the side. I'm not looking at the clock, counting down till it, like right now, it's 10:04 a.m. I'm not looking for 10:10. I'm not going to watch it for the next 6 minutes until it turns 10:10. Oh my God, I saw 10:10. That's not how it works. It has to be natural. It has to be where your mind, the universe, your spiritual being has a weird draw to the clock. So when you see the clock and it's like, oh my gosh, it's 10:10. That's what makes it better. So just like with the photos, if you're going to be out and about, and even then, keep in mind, even if you're going to the grocery store and you park and you get out of the car, stop and look around real quick, or when you're coming out from a grocery store or whatever store or anything like that, stop and look around real quick. I've seen so many people, they've gotten to their cars and they're like, they see it. They're not so focused big time on their car. They realize that they're seeing something out, so then I've seen people posting photos so you can see their car, which is great, Della said, yeah, so many clouds yesterday was the first. I know. Yeah. Amber, I got it from the pirate shop on the board. Oh, well, that's pretty cool. Yeah, and that's the other thing. So like, Debbie's talking about a, walking stick to have with you. Another cool thing is if something calls to you, especially like when you're in person, that helps. And like what she did, like Amber or Debbie says, she it was like that was there. It was calling her name, and so she grabbed it. So that's another powerful thing is letting, letting your guides, letting yourself feel drawn to that, and that's cool. That's really cool because I know a lot of people that do crystals in gem collecting and stuff like that. You know, it's not so easy. Like, it's great to use the online, but sometimes when you go to the stores or you go to the fairs, the holistic fairs and things, and you actually get to grab some of them because it's amazing is you can grab the same thing, like yeah, amber's in here. So I'm just going to use amber. So we find a bunch of amber. And so, we, so I was going to go somewhere really goofy and funny, but I better hold on before we go really crazy off the rails. Anyway, but like you go over the spot, and so you grab a bunch of amber, and it's just weird how you can look at it and be like, you know what, this one feels a little bit better, or this one doesn't feel right. And so it's great that you can grab like those, and it calls to you then, because sometimes it even feels right. And that's important too, but that doesn't mean that when you get them, you should come home and try to get those cleansed up a little bit, because you never know how many people were putting their hands on, which is why sometimes some of them, might have somebody's negative energy. So you have to be careful with when you're doing that. You do want to kind of cleanse that stuff. So tons of different ways to do that. Obviously, full moons. You can, they tell you running water helps, but fortunately, like the amount of time, you're not going to let your sink run for a long time. So sometimes you kind of have to break it up a little bit, but I use one thing I use a lot, and anything. We're not really talking solstice at this point, but we will. I use a copper pyramid. So I use this to charge all my stuff, because obviously there is times where I'm not in a position to catch the full moon, even if it's cloudy, because sometimes I just, I'm not able to. And then obviously running water is difficult to just let that run. And you could soak it in the water, but the idea is to keep pushing water to cleanse it. That's the whole point. But you can also, put it in the water and just keep kind of recycling it through, and that'll work too. But yeah, I love this pyramid. I mean, I charge like any stones that I do acquire, which I don't do a ton, but I do have some. All my tarot and oracle decks go underneath this thing, and they sit for, I usually let it go for 12 to 24 hours, depending on what it is and like what I'm going to use. So like when I have cards, like I have a couple stacks still over here. I will let I will let the cards go for a good 24 hours. Just because I know I'm going to be using them, and I want them to be as clean as possible. And then obviously then I kind of hold them with me to where my energy gets into them. So that way we kind of have a relationship, so that when we do readings like that, pulling cards, that they're good to go. But this was a great one. I cannot remember for the life of me where I got this, because it's been so many years now. But I know it was a holistic store online, but yeah, I was pretty happy with this. And so it does wonders. And see, even me holding it, I can feel, my fingers feel weird. Okay. See, that's how much it works. And I'm not even underneath it. So, Debbie, that's a great one. Cleansing in the ocean. Absolutely. Absolutely. That you could hit a lot of good things at that point. That water, the especially the waves. I mean, that whole crashing of it really can break things up, get anything negative out of it, and really charge up those crystals or gemstones to, what their potential is for why you have it in the first place. So, do you need to put my dad's saying, do you need to put the pyramid over here? Well, ironically, Dad, actually, that's a big thing too. They do have it to where you can go and build your own pyramid big enough to have in your home and sit underneath. And typically, it's about 3 feet tall, because some people, they're not going to want to take up a whole thing. But I've sat in some before. But yeah, you literally can go and get all the copper piping and then just put them together. And you basically, it's kind of like putting like a tent up in a way. But yes, no, they truly have this to where you can build it yourself. I don't recall. I mean, I know I've seen some people try to sell them, but that's, the shipping and the long, copper poles and stuff. I mean, that's a little bit, so it's easier to just go to your home, your Home Depot, your Lowe's, whatever hardware store, and then get enough of them to, build your own. And it's not super difficult, because again, most of them are, cut to a certain size anyway. So, I have thought about it, but I just haven't had the time. But I would love to do it because doing meditations is great. Guided meditations, so if you're listening to somebody, guide you through them, whether it's like a tape or a live, charging things, so you can use the big one too, so they're actually really cool. Like I said, just me holding that for the few minutes there, that really made my fingers feel weird. So that's how powerful these copper pyramids are. So Deli, you're saying it's hard for you. Charging or sitting in them, is that what you meant? Um, well, anyway, I guess in a way, just because we're kind of sort of talking about, but hopefully everybody's been excited for the summer solstice. So at least I'll talk about it for a few minutes. We know each season is no making things. I got you, Deli. Well, I mean, and they do have, if I'm not mistaken, because I looked into for a while, but then it was like, problem is luckily my kids are getting older, so there may be less likely of damage happening to it. But what early on, I can't imagine having this, and then they're just leaning on it and bending them, and I'm like, no, so even this one, that scares me, because like I would have to hide it, because I just know that they're gonna want to mess with it and bend it, and I'm like, so I don't want to do that. I love it too much. But if I'm not mistaken, they do have copper joints. So really, you would be just basically fitting the ends in, and then you're essentially you're just making kind of like a tent. You're just connecting everything together, and so there's plenty of people that could help with that online. Like I said, I researched it for a while and was like, that'd be cool. But maybe one day I will. I'm sure I will. It's just when the timing's right. But yeah, so it's not really difficult. Like I said, you just kind of fit all the joints together, and then it just sits there, and then you kind of climb in there, and you can either sit on the floor, or if you can't get down, you can put a small stool, or like a bean bag, or even a chair. Sometimes they make them big enough to where you can get in a chair, which is cool. Della's saying, I'm trying to get this house. I'm trying to 3.3 acres at a workshop and trying to start a hobby. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. Hopefully that works out. That's nice. 3.3 acres, man. That's really cool. I like that. Yeah, but anyway, like I said, with all the seasons and things, there's always important. And I tried to talk about them at least a little bit. Obviously like springtime, it's always the spring. You're planting the seeds for what you're even when you're hitting the winter and stuff like that, the winter solstice and stuff. But you're kind of wrapping up the previous year essentially, and then obviously spring, you're kind of planting seeds, and you're prepping yourself up to do what you're going to be doing for the rest of the year, and the things you want to achieve. And of course you're trying to, and a lot of it you want it to be personally, personal, so things that you want to do better for yourself, whether it's getting healthy, whether it's more meditation, taking some classes to open yourself up a little bit more, things like that. And it doesn't mean that you still can't like put goals out there being like, I really want to get this house, or I want to make this big move or something. That still can be done. And then now, as we're getting it, now that we officially started the summer, now it's to try to get those things in act, start working on them, because you planted it because you need time for them to grow. And now that we're hitting the summer, now it's time to start going after those. So that way, when we get into the fall, we've already got a good grip of whatever it is, whatever you were trying to achieve for yourself, and that you've got a routine, or you've acquired this. And then that way, you can start to refine that in the fall. And then obviously, when we get to the winter again, start that, then we can, go back on everything. So, of course, my dad's got to bring, I keep saying plant the seeds, big vegetable garden. Yeah. Dallas, and that's something to think about. My paranormal shop, start with yeah, nope. That's great. Love gardening. Yep. That's Dallas said that. And Amber, my garden is never big enough. Right. Well, and it's, whether it's a real garden or something personal to you, trying to achieve your goals and things, if on a physical sense, that yes, that you are going to be limited to whatever yard and however big your yard is, of course. But then from a more personal, mental and physical state, well, the sky is really the limit. You're the only one that's gonna to make it small and hinder. So never short yourself on any of that. You are all capable of doing great things, and it doesn't mean that great things is like going to bring you in, hundreds of millions of dollars, and you're going to be this rich person. I mean, you certainly could work towards that. But at the same time, that isn't, that's not, is that really life at that point, you know, I mean, don't get me wrong. I play the lottery and would love to hit the lottery, because then I could not have to worry about doing work, and I can do a lot of this stuff a lot more. That would be a great thing. And I would do it 100%. But at the same time, I got to make sure I'm responsible for everything else. And that's what I try to do is, um, you know, it's great to dream. It's great to put the seeds in the ground for, having some, like, financial comfort. So that way I could do more things and maybe not work as hard. Yeah, sure. But at the same time, I'm not going to sit there and, forget my responsibilities. I'm still going to, work. I'm still going to make sure that I'm paying the bills and doing what needs to be done. We kind of have to at that point. So, but yeah, but I'm hoping that, and even if you didn't really plant anything this spring, doesn't mean that you can't still start something now. Okay. So sorry, I need a sip. Never plant carrots and corn. Thanks, Dad. I don't remember what they looked like. I mean, that was a long time ago, but I don't remember what they looked like. But yeah. So even if you've missed out on things or you just weren't sure, it doesn't mean you still can't do something. I mean, you certainly can, follow the seasons and do everything, by, eat, okay, we're going to do this here. We're going to do this. You can just, doesn't mean you can't start something at any point in your life. That, sometimes that's the way it goes. Sometimes, like, let's say you change jobs while you're starting something new. It those things happen. So, still look at what's going on with you in your life and try to see if there's something that, you need to achieve. Or, maybe recently you have been thinking about this. Let's see, Della's saying, I'm going to start making homemade breads, everything, going back to it. There you go. That's awesome. That is awesome. Debbie saying, I've got limited space to grow food, so I have 4 sprouting jars going nonstop in the kitchen. Yeah. You make it work for you. If it's growing them in jars, it's growing them in jars. There's nothing wrong in that. If it brings you joy and you get, like, especially if it's some type of edible or like an herb or spice or something, great. That's there. You're only limited on what you talk yourself out of. So don't short anything, make it work for you. There's always a way to work around a lot of different situations. Better get the solstice topic before you run out. Well, what do you think I've been doing? And Della saying, you don't need a lot of space for homemade jellies and food prices or so. Right. And, and that's the other thing. And depending on what, you want to achieve, then you got to have all the necessary requirements to do something like that. Yep. Oh, it's for your salad, Debbie. Great. No. Yeah. That's awesome. Like I said, you're only limited on, if you're not giving yourself a chance at that, and so you make it work, and then there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I know I've seen people, even in the past, I mean, they've got whole flower, I shouldn't say flower, but they do too, but whole plant things going on with windows. Like, their windows take up, their window is covered in all kinds of different growing plants and flowers. And, that's awesome. I mean, I've seen people attach, excuse me. I didn't want to cough. See, I can't even talk. Oh, that was funny. I was going to try to mute it so you guys didn't hear me coughing up a lung. Woo! I'm sorry about that. That was weird. Look, I even got my eyes all messed up. Wow. That's what I get. You just keep talking and you don't stop and, take a sip. Dry you out there. Whew. Okay. I'm good. Della's saying, I'm going to buy mason jars after my vacation from Salem. Cool. Yeah. Work it in progress, one thing at a time. Amber, I feel like there are lots of us that want to step back and step back from the unhealthy products we are consuming. Our forefathers had it figured out by not having plastic in the water. Oh yeah, you know, i- if there's, I mean, that's the tough thing. There's so much that's produced and stuff, and so you almost, if you're not doing it on your own, it's difficult, because it's like every time you turn around, there's something that's got something in it that shouldn't be in it. And so, you know, I think the whole point of that is then just to reduce it. You know what I mean? Della, even in winter, I go barefoot. I love that. I do too. Well, Della, that's true. Yeah, I mean that when I do my snow walks, there is a limitation to it. So once you start, for me, what I found is that it's not as enjoyable when you start getting into the teens, the temperatures. The teens are lower. It's not as enjoyable. You know, most snow, is light and fluffy. So when you start getting into the teens or lower, it's not light and fluffy anymore. So uh not that you can't hide yourself from the pain. However, it just, you know, it's just a different feeling. And so you have to really adjust. So plus, you're starting to get the temperature phases where, you know, you're going to be in some you could be in some trouble. So that's why I don't do anything once it gets into the teens. I don't do it, even if I want to really badly. But what I will do is, I mean, I'll go outside and go on like on the porch or something that doesn't really have snow on it. So I'm still getting close. I'm just not risking things too much on that aspect. So, uh, but right, Dad, burning the witches in Salem. Well, let's hope not. But but yeah, so but just to reiterate, make sure that if you haven't had things all set up, for yourself this year, go ahead and get those things. Like I said, like Dell's talking about, starting things and going back to doing things. Put them into play now. Like really start working. I mean, if you can only buy things at times because you got to work and earn some more money or something like that, that's okay. You can get a lot of things acquired before you finally make that first push for it, So, let's see, Debbie, the little piggy got lost from frostbite, bro. Yeah, it could, I've never pushed it. Like I said, I did it a couple times when it was really, really bad out, and it just took away from it. Like I said, it felt like you were walking on broken glass. It really did. It was that painful of walking. So that it wasn't even cold. It was just pure pain. And, I have to wear shoes because I'm at work. So it's not like I have the most tough feet. If I had, if I was barefoot a lot more and they were a little bit more, thick skinned, I probably wouldn't be having too many complaints, but, wearing shoes like I have to, because that's required. The feet are a little bit softer. So, broken glass feeling isn't really that enjoyable. It does take away, but so that's why it's nice when you can stay in the 20s and obviously 32 is freezing, but 32 into the low 20s you're okay, but anything else it's not cool. but yeah, I hopefully, like I said, yeah, think about things, take some time. I know with the temperatures being warm, not everybody's going out for very long periods of time. So I mean, if there's something you can do inside while you're staying cool to think about stuff to change or start, take the time to do that, because that's, you owe it to yourself, and don't get me wrong, routines and everything that we do is fantastic, but you do want to always be expanding yourself, and this goes all the way up until your last days. You don't want to stop learning. That's been a big thing I've always said. You're always learning something, um, and you want to keep learning and expanding your mind as much as you can, because it's no fun to just give up. You know what I mean? Like, to I'm getting older. I can't do this. Well, you're shooting yourself in the foot, so to speak. I mean, don't do that. Um, Keep going. I don't care how old you are. I don't care if you're younger or older. I don't care. don't look at it like that. You're putting an age on something just because, oh, because you're old, you're gray or whatever, and you got wrinkles, and you're just making up excuses. Don't do it. Don't do it. You're just you make excuses because you're just afraid of it. Della, yeah. I- we need to. We need to. Like I said, I don't care how old anybody is. I really don't. You know, as a kid, you look for all those milestones. I know, you know, my daughter just turned 16. That's a pretty big deal, and my son just turned 13. So, those are like, as a kid, you look for those milestones. Then once we get beyond 21, does it really matter anymore? You know what I mean? Like, after 21, guys, doesn't really matter anymore. That's how I looked at it, because I really stopped, after 20, I was like, I'm done. It doesn't, you know, don't get me wrong. I do enjoy the birthday, but it's not a huge thing anymore. And I guess because there really isn't milestones. Yeah, I'm sure, some, like my dad could be like, well, what is it, 50 something, AARP or whatever. So you could go there. Oh, is that really a special moment? Do you really look forward to that? Um, but I just said, uh, yeah, don't don't hide behind your age, and even if you have physical limitations or you have health issues, you still can find things to do and things to learn. Don't keep yourself down. I mean, you're doing yourself a disservice by just making excuses like that, and it's terrible to go there. And it's sad when I see people do that, and I'm talking, you know not even like all of you. A lot of you are into spiritual things and paranormal things, and um when I see others that don't really do follow this stuff as much, and you just see them complaining all the time, and I'm like, that's the life you want to live? Don't get me wrong, we have our moments. I've had moments, we all have our moments, but you know you just got to keep pushing through all of that. So let's see, what do we got here? um the Yeah, Debbie. So I still I want to do, and I go, that's okay, Debbie. As long as you can still have a smile on your face, that's all right. Dork, 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 yippee! I've been branded. There you go, Dan. Della, I have seizures that that's not my, yeah. So see, that's what I'm saying. You could have some major health situations and moments. You know what I mean? I mean, hey, Ron, what's up, buddy? You just like I said, I if you just I would hate for anybody, to not be able to push themselves anymore and to give up. And you know, I understand, because of the more I've done the mediumship side of things, and when you communicate with the other side and you hear a lot of the stories and the people talking to you, and then you talk to and then you're talking to like the loved ones and stuff, and you just breaks your heart down when you hear that they were giving up and things, and then it makes you sad. So it's almost like that's a clear message for us, is to, you know they felt bad that they let go of themselves and they gave up. And I understand that, when things are painful, depending on like what you're going through, I get it. um you know it's sad that they just want to give up because they want to get out of it. And like I said, I get it, because of, you just don't want to deal with it anymore. Trust me. I mean, again, we've all had moments like that in our lives. You just don't want to deal with like a painful situation. I mean, I've had kidney stones, a good chunk of my life now. And so some of the first ones were really bad. And it was only because of how serious it was. And my first one was blocking things. So the pain for that is different than just it naturally going through the whole entire system. So when I had one blocking, that is another pain. I to this day, I've never, I mean, I had it like a couple more times just like that where they were blocking. But I mean, like I said, you keep pushing through it. You're going to get better. You get the help you need, or in that aspect, and then you keep going. Um let's see, and Dallas thing, I think also with my son passing, I think life is short, so I travel. Yeah, right. And and that's something I've always had to be careful with, and others too. It's like, you know, I could easily say, Della, you just move on. You know what I mean? Um, you're not, we're never, I mean, anybody that we were super close with while they were here, you know, never means that you're letting them go, because almost 100% of the time that when I talk to some of your loved ones that have passed on, do you realize how badly they want you to keep going? Like it's sad when I see people so, um, they just slow everything down. They stop. And get me, grief that's a major thing. And I get that. But then after a while, when your loved ones are telling me or any other mediums, you need to keep going. You need to keep going because they know what it's going to be like if you don't keep going. They know you care about them. They know you still love them. And so it's a shame when you see the people that are still here and they're just they're not taking themselves and taking care of themselves. And I hate to see that when somebody is just grieving as badly as they do it. And again, I get that. And I'm not a cold-hearted person. I think most of you know that. It just, I want more than anything that where you can keep going, because I know that they want you to do well. They want you to live regardless of how many more years it is. And if it's a long time, even better. They're kind of coaching you to keep going. They don't want you to join them. I haven't really had that happen. I haven't had them say, well, you know what, tell this person to give up so that way they can be with me. Never happen. It'll never happen. Because when they get over there and they see a lot of the information that we still don't know a lot about because they can't tell us, but you can kind of read some of the information they do pass on, and they're always trying to pick up their loved ones that are still here. Yes, you can be sad. That's fine. However, you still need to get up tomorrow. You still need to take care of yourself, feed yourself. You still got to keep going. Don't just turn the lights off and then just wither away. They don't like that. There's never been a time that I've seen them where they're just like, would you shake her or him or whatever? Wake them up, get them to go, and again, it's a delicate thing. And like I said, I get that, it is very difficult to deal with that stuff. And I think me doing the readings as much as I have, 20 years now, actively. I mean, granted, the last year has been a little slower, but 20 years, I've talked a lot and I've seen a lot, and I have a different, I have a different way of when we move, when we cross over, when we pass away, I have a completely different vantage point. And I'm not saying, it's hard to convey that in my situation, because it's like, well, that's what it's his words or whatever. And I get that. I've just seen enough to where it doesn't mean that I am not sad for losing somebody that, I grew up with, but I also know I know roughly about what they're going to be going through and how much they are going to be happy. And so I'm almost coaching them because I know they're going to coach me, kind of thing. And so, I have an appreciation for it. And so there isn't, for me, it's not like a big unknown, and it's not like that's an advantage. Obviously, we all can do mediumship. It's just the amount of work that you want to put in to achieve that and open it. But at the same time, you have to be careful with it. And I know I'm 5 minutes over. But mediumship is not for everybody because there's a lot of things that are unknown and can be serious. It's, like I said, everybody can do it, but it's not necessarily for everybody. And you have to be in a certain place. This is why, like, I haven't been doing a lot of paranormal stuff, especially at, cases. I haven't been doing readings. It's just because I'm trying to be careful about things, and I don't want to fall into a place to where I am not protecting myself. Yes, I have guides. I have everything watching out, but I also have to be conscious of it. So It's one of those things. To real quickly, because I know we're running out. Let's see, real quickly, just before I let me check a few more comments. Da, da, da. Um, just reading real fast to see if there's something. Uh, well, Dad, you can certainly stay around if you want. I mean, there's nothing wrong in that, you know. But yeah, no. So, but yeah, I mean, like I said, I understand a lot of the things, and I've been through a lot of readings, and I see it. But yeah, if there's something I can push more, just to wrap this up, definitely, be just know that they're they're in a great place. Let's put it that way. However you want to look at it, they're in a great place. And like I said, 100% of the time they've never said give up. It's just never happened. It's just never happened. So don't give up. You know, that is the key. Because you're going to make them upset. And I guarantee they're probably going to have a good talking to you when you come up there being like, what is your problem? You had X amount of years left in you and you just gave up. Why? You know, so if you think it's going to be a great reunion, it will for a second, and then they're going to be scolding you. So do you really want to get scolded when you head up there? Think about it. So, um, thank you. It's awesome. We all, and then that's also life too. We all can't give up. I mean, we all have to keep going. Believe me, I've wanted to give up a lot of times, over the years, and I'm done closing everything up, shutting down, disappearing. I've gone through those moments, and you just don't give up. You still keep showing up, and even if it meant like I gotta, stop doing shows for a couple months or longer, it still doesn't mean I'm going away. Just taking a break. I'll be back. And that's the important thing is do what you need to do, but just know that you got to get back up. You've got to get back up. You got to wake up tomorrow, and you got to start the day again. Even if the day goes to hell in a handbasket instantly when you wake up, you're still going to wake up the next day. You know what I mean? Just deal with what you got to deal with, and then next day, go again. And don't try, do it. Okay. So, Terry, thank you so much. Appreciate that a lot. Thank you. So, all right, I now almost 10 minutes past the end of the show. So I appreciate you guys hanging in there and hanging with me a little bit longer. You guys rock. So my son's here with me and travel with me. I know. Yep, absolutely. Always, and always in anybody that's passed on, you have to ask them. Don't assume that they're going to be there. They sometimes are there all the time, but it comes more from the heart and your soul when you ask them, hey, can you be here with me today? I really could use your support. You may not feel them. You may not know, sense that they're around you. But when you put that out there, that is like an instant, ASAP, they are going to show up and will be there for you for the day. Granted, like I said, you may not know they're there, but they're there. So as soon as you think it or say it loud, hey, so-and-so, I need you here today. I'm dealing with some situations or I'm dealing with something. I need your support. They're there. Okay. So never forget that you have to ask for it. You have to ask them for it. Don't assume that they've got things to do too. They have some, they're partying. They're partying with, their relatives and their ancestors and stuff too. So, they've don't get me wrong. They are there to support you, but make sure you ask them to give them that benefit. So good, Della. Good. The dad says, remember a bad day above ground and better. Well, that's right, Dad. That is right. So, Margaret, sending energy is a real thing. Absolutely. So, cool. Ron, got you, buddy. Yeah. Or message me when you get a chance. I don't really have a ton today. I got a couple little things tomorrow. So, but Ron, if you want to hit me first, go for it, man. But anyway, we did make it to 10 minutes extra. He's meeting his foot players, John Madden. He's talking about, there you go, Dylan. Absolutely. The football player. I love it. That's even, yeah. And he certainly is 100%. So, cool. All right. So 10 extra minutes. I love it. Thank you guys. I really do appreciate it. Glad you guys can, be here today. For anybody that's watching this back, thank you so much. It means a lot. I do see it. A lot of people do catch this back later on. So that means a lot as well. So I will see you guys soon. I will try to. I'll look at these pictures of the yesterday, the Thursday, and then last night. I'll try to post those up here in a little bit, and then yeah, let's pick our heads up today. That's a big thing. Think about anything that you planted in yourself as far as growing, and then if you haven't, take some time, next few days and stuff, and see if some things are calling for you, and get those rolling for you, because it's going to be good for you in the end. Trust me. So, all right. So you guys have been watching the Mid-Morning Medium Chat with Adam the Black Swamp Medium. Thank you so much again for being here. I appreciate you all so much. Take care. I will see you guys soon. And as always, all my love, light, and peace to each and every single one of you. Take care.